What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the Hangout. This is the now monthly live show that we do. Uh, guess about the last week of the month. That's the trend for 2 months straight. We've been the last Thursday of the month. So if you're watching this on the replay, I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, you can catch us live next month for what I assume will be some sort of Halloween edition of the Hangout. Although I don't really celebrate Halloween like that. Oh, so we'll call it Fall Fest. I don't know. Anyways, if you're here watching live, say what's up. I appreciate you being here. My man Tim is here. Says, hey everyone, what's good? Alfred Page is here, or Pegwa is here. Who's doing New York Comic Con? I am not doing New York Comic Con this year. But I love to see who else is going. That guest list is stacked, which it always is for New York Comic Con. My man James is here. What's up, dude? And Ryder Battle says, greetings, travelers. Nice. I apparently cannot post a comment on the Facebook group, which is fine. We are live on YouTube as well as inside the Comics Are Dope community on Facebook, because that's an option that StreamYard has and I pay for it, so I might as well do it. Might as well multi-stream, right? What's up, Dominic? The Comic Book Report is here, throwing up peace signs. The Comic Book Report is now a proud father of 2. Wait, you had more than one kid already, didn't you? I don't know. I don't remember. The point is, he's now the proud father of another child, which is awesome. So big congrats to my man Dom. It's going to be tough if I'm going to New York Comic Con. Oh, you're talking about the next stream. Hey, listen. By all means, go watch New York Comic Con. There's nothing that's going to be happening here that's going to be more interesting than New York Comic Con. So, yeah. Do your thing. I'm not mad at you. Also, I can choose if I want to post comments. Hear the comment because I can. Anyway, this is the Hangout. This is a live show. We talk about comics, and I enjoy doing it because it's the only time I get to have a conversation with you guys. Every other time you see me on camera, it's just me talking, and you can respond in the comments, but it's not real time. It's just not, doesn't feel like family, you know? So I really enjoy doing this. Chris is here. What's up? What's up, my friend? It's my collecting partner there, Chris Balga, host of the world's finest True Believers podcast on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. I just recorded my second appearance on that show. It'll go live at the end of next month, so be on the lookout for that. But he does a great show. He interviews collectors each month about like a seminal story that they just love. The most recent episode I listened to was Jess Bragg, aka Omnidog, talking about Green Lantern, Green Arrow. I know my man Jake just got up there, and I don't remember what book they covered. There's been a lot of guests every month. Before Jess, I think the last episode I really sat through was Mike Grell. And I don't even remember if that was even the same show, because Chris hosts multiple podcasts. Either way, great stuff. Chris has the smoothest voice in comics. Valzad says, hey, what's up, everyone? Valzad, I was just reading, what is it called? The newest Superman. Oh, The Adventures of Superman, John Kent. And Val Zod made an appearance in the first issue. And they really made it seem like Val Zod was going to be like the key to solving Superboy's issues. And I don't remember him appearing past issue 2. Facebook user says, hey, Brandon, how's it going? It's going pretty well. Now I got to go log into Facebook and see who Facebook user is. I have a guess, though. Before I get into the group, I'm going to guess that it's my man Jason. JC the Comic Geek, and let's see if I'm right. I was wrong. It's my man Keith. What's up, Keith? Keith is the biggest Green Lantern fan I know, man. It's good to see you, man. How's your dog doing? Tayshawn says, peace, peace, everybody. And Afro Sci-Fi Ian's Comics says, greetings, BJ Kicks, and everyone catching you live from the UK. Nice, nice. From across the pond. Rocker Line Coleman. Hey, brother, your Milestone Compendium review gave me the push to try it. Now I'm obsessed. I watched Static Shock as a kid, and my cousins had a bunch of Icons books when I was a kid. So this was great. Dude, that is what I like to hear. Like, it's kind of the whole point of this channel is to turn people on to comics that they may not have discovered otherwise. And I have a particular affinity for Milestone because I was the same way. I watched Static Shock as a kid. I never knew the comics existed. And when I read them, I became obsessed. And there's only like 4 or 5 of us that talk about Milestone consistently. It's me, the Blur Without Fear, and that's about as many of them as I can name. But I know there are other people that talk about Milestone. But anyway, so I try to make it a point to spotlight stuff as often as I can and as often as it deserves. There is some Milestone stuff that's disappointing, and I just kind of quietly let that stuff slide and really shout about the stuff I love. Karma's being lazy. She's living her best life. That's what's up, man. It's so funny, dude. Keith, like, Keith is a member of the K Squad or the Comics Are Dope community on Facebook, but we shop at the same local comic shop. And Keith will post pictures of like his house and like his collection or his dog and all this different stuff. Keith has like all the same furniture that we had in our first apartment when my wife and I got married. Like he's got the same couch we used to have, the same bookshelves I used to have in our old house before we moved in here. Like, I don't know how it happened like that, but Keith's got good taste. Did you get Acolyte #1? I have not been to the shop yet to pick up my books, so I don't think I have Acolyte #1. I'm pretty sure the shop didn't order it, so I'm gonna have to order it elsewhere or place the order. I'm sure they still have some in stock at Diamond, so if I place a special order, I'm sure I'll be able to get it. But my shop recently switched back to Comic Hub, and I cannot for the life of me figure out how to order from something that is already published. It's only letting me like add stuff for pre-order, and even that, it's only allowing me to do from the mobile app, not the website. I don't know why it's not working. So yeah, ever since they stopped using YouTube or using Comic Hub and then started using Comic Hub again, I've not been able to access my account correctly. Is this on YouTube as well? I saw the post. Yes, I'm multi-streaming, just testing it out. I know some people use Facebook and like Facebook more. And obviously my biggest audience is on YouTube. When I hear Milestone, I immediately think of you. It's like Omnibuddy with Usagi. Word. No, that's true. That's true, Adam. I mean, that's what's up. It's hilarious that Mitch loves Usagi that much, but it's true. Like, speaking of Usagi, I recently read the TMNT Usagi Werewind series. I binged it like I want to say before the last Hangout, but this was really good and made me want to read more Usagi. So luckily, I bought most of what exists of Usagi before I read that series. Tayshawn says, did you pick up Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer? Dudes from Newark, New Jersey. I want to support, but the premise is pretty wild. So I did not pick up the newer reprints of Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. He just got national distribution through Whatnot Publishing. But David Crownston is dope. And Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer actually made the best of 2021 list when I picked it up not too long after his Kickstarter run had ended. I want to say there were either 4 or 5 issues. And then they did a trade paperback, but the trade paperback was just way too expensive. But I did read all 5 of the single issues. I bought those from Hive Comiccade, and it was really good. It's really funny. The art's really good. I want to say there's a different artist with almost every issue, but it was really fun. It's just if you liked the Boondocks, if you liked Django Unchained. You would like that book. Or yeah, yeah. It's irreverent, it's funny, and it's pretty much unlike anything I had read up till then. Also got picked up by Disney for a show last year. That's such an interesting pickup for Disney um a Disney Plus series. That seems very off brand. I could absolutely see them releasing it on Hulu. That's such an odd choice for Disney. But hey, I don't make those decisions. I read the Starman Compendiums closer to release. Really made me a James Robinson fan. Remind me of his handoff to Jeff Johns with JSA, and Golden Age was just an epic miniseries. Word, word. I buy all my bookcases from antique malls and used furniture stores. That might explain it. Funny enough, so our first apartment when my wife and I got married, almost all of our furniture was donated, including that bookshelf and that couch. So that makes sense because the lady that donated it to us was older. Older. She was an older woman. That's how you're supposed to say that. So yeah. But yeah, Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer is dope. And if you can find one of those exclusive covers, because most of the covers that are out for this new release are brand new and exclusive to the direct market. The Nick Draper Ivy cover is dope. There's a Kari Randolph cover that was really dope. There were a lot of really dope covers. Oh man, I just switched from Facebook to YouTube. Way more active. Word. Yeah, yeah. That's the nature of the beast. We've got like 8,500 subscribers on YouTube. We've got like 600 inside the Facebook group. Love the relaunched Captain America series. That's what's up, Javon. That is J. Michael Straczynski is writing the new Captain America. I have not read it yet, but I've never been a big Captain America fan. I've read a decent chunk, or really mostly just the first volume of the Ed Brubaker Captain America, and I like that a lot. But Captain America is not particularly a character that I look out for. What stories would you guys recommend featuring Cap? Yeah, I'm really loving the Golden Age characters that show up in the series so far, and this book has a feel to it that I never see in superhero comics. Talking about the new Golden Age or the JSA Golden Age. There's a new JSA book that Jeff Johns is writing. I'm assuming that's what you guys are talking about. I was surprised reading that and note you guys are having a full conversation about Jeff Johns. Tim says, anyone here read Static Shadows of Dakota #6 that came out this week? Yes, I'm actually going to talk about it here in a second. What are we doing tonight? So tonight our discussion point is, what are the books that like you just must read when you see, like when they're on the pull list? Like what are the books that you just can't not pick up? Read Wade and Garney's Cap Run. Okay, I can do that. Whole run. This is the issue with comics. It's like, hey, where should I start reading this character? Well, these 100 issues right here. I joke, but it is true though. So real quick before we get into the topic of like, what your favorite series are right now, I'm just gonna look around and see if there's any comic news of note. Apparently, James Gunn clarifies that the DC Universe canon does not officially begin until the Superman movie comes out, which I thought they made that clear in their first announcement, but he just clarified it again. So, in case you didn't know, Blue Beetle that just came out is not canon, nor will Aquaman 2 be canon when the new DC Universe starts with Superman. What do they call it? Superman Legacy. That's going to officially be the DC Universe reboot, even if the characters that already appeared in some of those other movies also appear in the future. Anything else going on? The Ultimate Universe is restarting, and Ultimate Spider-Man is going to be written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Marco Checchetto, because that's how you say his name and not Checchetto, even though I always say Checchetto. John Ridley's got a new book out with IDW called The Ministry of Compliance. It looks interesting, but it'll come out in November. But I don't know. It's an indie series. Oh, let me share this tab so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Because that's smarter. He said it begins with Creature Commandos. Well, yeah, that's true. I guess I'd have meant the movies, because Creature Commandos would be like some kind of animated series. But let me show you guys this article that I'm reading here. Oh, there's an advertisement for some slippers. But Ministry of Compliance is going to be a new indie series by John Ridley. It's a lady with a sword. And she's got a look in her eye. Oh, going straight for the head, huh? Okay. They are really emphasizing this severed head. Oh, we're just slicing people. Okay. What is this even about? This is too long to actually get a a quick synopsis. Anyway, that's a new series coming from IDW and John Ridley. And I was about to say, like, I'm not crazy excited about anything John Ridley writes after my experience with his Black Panther and his what was it? What was the other book he wrote? I Am Batman. But I mean, this might be okay because it's creator owned. It's not, his own, or it's not some other character that he's got to like fit in a box. So anyway, there's not really a whole lot of news on the comic front. The Fandom Man says, congrats on the new milestone. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Raven says, I'm finally on time for one. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. The Geek Easy says the new Wonder Woman series sucks. Comic Book Report, Dom says, just finished the Ta-Nehisi Coates Cap Omnibus. Really enjoyed that run, but nothing's touching Brubaker for me. Yeah, I feel like nothing touches Brubaker for anyone. Loeb and Sale did a Cap story that's dope as part of that whole color series they did. Oh, that's probably a good place to start, because Captain America White is short. They're all pretty short. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few comic reviews, books that I read recently that did not necessarily come out this week. Well, one came out this week, others came out last week. And then we'll talk about the discussion of like, what are the must-read books on your list? So since somebody just mentioned it, we'll start off with Wonder Woman #1. Now, I did review this book in the community tab. So if you want to read my written review, and basically read the words I'm about to say right now, you can do that. But Wonder Woman #1, written by Tom King, art by Daniel Sampere. And it was an interesting enough debut. A lot of world building, a lot of story building. A rogue Amazon killed a bunch of dudes in an act of terror against men, against American men. And we get to see America's reaction from like on the street interviews, and then from perspectives of a bunch of news anchors, basically framing that America is not here for the Amazons. And so they passed the Amazon Expulsion Act, something like that. Anyway, Amazons, how do you say that? They're not allowed in America right now. And then they start forcibly removing Amazons from their homes, killing them in the streets, taking their kids away from them, just full-on carnage. And you're like, man, America really hates the Amazons because of that one person that did something. Like, that's crazy. And then what else happened? Oh, and then Wonder Woman shows up at the end and confronts the one dude that's been rounding up a bunch of Amazons like, hey, not in my house. And then that's kind of the end of the issue. So my issue with this book was the dialogue got kind of wordy. The narration was clunky. That's what it was. Not even that the dialogue was bad. It was that the narration, there was so much narration, even as there was so much being built up on the actual page. So it was just like a lot of reading in the book. I don't mind reading, but something about the way the narration and the actual action in the book, they weren't quite vibing with each other at all points. But again, there was a lot of building up on the fact that Wonder Woman is not going to be welcome when she when she is seen by an American. And there's a couple of people that kind of challenge that idea. Like, I mean, Wonder Woman is Wonder Woman. Like, how could you not like Wonder Woman? But all in all, by and large, it's like, hey, if we see Amazons in the street, it's gonna be a bad day for them Amazons. And Wonder Woman kind of shows up in the last couple of pages looking really graceful as she easily disposes of a bunch of people who clearly got the better of like every other Amazon they had encountered, which, I mean, I guess that's just kind of a testament to Wonder Woman's greatness. But like, as someone who's never read a Wonder Woman comic, I just kind of thought that Wonder Woman was great because she's an Amazon, and that most Amazons are are, you know, comparably skilled as Diana. But anyway, I digress. I like how easily she disposed of like just a bunch of US military operatives. Um, and all in all, is a solid enough start, but I felt like this book just feels like it is made to be incendiary. If that is, like, Tom King is definitely bringing in the commentary that's going to have, I guess 50% of the country divided, or about 90% of the internet if you if your algorithms working the way mine works. uh you know and so there's going to be a lot of people speaking very loudly about their issues with the book. I feel like it was a solid enough start. The narration really kind of bugged me, and then the fact that Wonder Woman didn't really show up until the end meant like, okay, well, I can't really judge this off of this issue one. There's not a lot of Wonder Woman in this issue for me to be like, oh, he's not doing good justice to Wonder Woman. I think how she shows up in issue two and how they develop this plot line, he develops this plot line, is going to determine how I'm going to feel about the series moving forward. All in all, the art was amazing on this issue. The colors added a lot. Some of the page layouts and stuff, like, they were amazing, and then others were like, all right, this is trying to be like Dark Knight Returns or something like. And the book feels like it wants to be great, and it's just good. Does that make sense? I gave it a 6.8 out of 10 when I had to like just do a quick rating. Not a bad book at all. I think your mileage is going to vary depending on whether or not you agree with the implications of how Tom King paints general American sentiment, because it definitely feels like it's supposed to be a commentary on like today's very staunchly divided political landscape. And so, for as much as you're going to try to like be like, oh, this is like a fictional world, it's going to feel like it's happening next door to you. And so if you're just completely turned off by political stuff in comics, you're probably going to be turned off by this one. And if you don't agree with the politics in the comic, you're probably going to be turned off by it. And that's kind of it, you know. But I mean, if you want a good comic story, it's probably going to be a good comic story. Like, Tom King's not a bad writer. So those are my thoughts on Wonder Woman issue number 1. Take a quick break before we another one. Geeky said, I thought Diana was the only Amazon who lived off island. Now all of a sudden there are a lot of them. I think The book says there were about 300 just reading there, all of us living there. Hi, all. Long time no chat. What's up, wheelchair superhero? I never want to call a person wheelchair. I almost always use it as your first name, but it's good seeing you, sir. You got to read Godzilla War for Humanity if you haven't already. The second issue came out yesterday. The art is immaculate. I feel like there's always some Godzilla book out, and I never know about it. Godzilla The War for Humanity, #1, written by Andrew McLean, art by Jake Smith. Oh, that art looks really good. This website looks sketchy, so I'm not gonna click on it. I'm just get off of that website. But the art looks really cool. Ooh, yeah, I might have to check that out. Average Joe says, "Hey Kicks, hope you're doing well. How are the kids liking school so far?" Man, my 2-year-old has homework. Uh, I don't, I don't know how this works, but like the daycare just started sending home worksheets. Now I got to trace the number 2 and act like it was my kid. So that's that part. She loves it though. And then the 13-year-old, she is at a brand new school, and it's definitely different. It's a charter school versus public school, so it's a whole different culture, and she's enjoying it as well. It's a lot more rigorous than her last school, and that comes with its own challenges. But all in all, they seem to both be enjoying school pretty well, and that's all you can ask for as a dad. So the Fandom Man says, "What are your thoughts on the Kingstone Bible? I'm hesitant about picking it up, mainly because I don't live in the States. It is money." I'm assuming you mean, oh, yeah, the shipping is probably going to cost you something. So give me a second. Let me grab mine. All right. So I did an overview of this. I did an overview of the Kingstone Bible. If you just search the Kingstone Bible, I've got to be in the top 5 search results on YouTube. But all in all, I mean, it's the Bible in comic book version. It's probably the most comprehensive comic book Bible. It goes from Genesis to Revelation, and it does its best to do stuff like in chronological order. And so, like the Gospels, like they kind of get it all in there, but they're not like, all right, here's Matthew, and then here's Mark, and then here's Luke, telling like the same story 5 times, right? But it's obviously not like a substitute for like actual scripture. But man, it is such a beautiful book, and there's a lot of like art from comic artists that you know. Um, Kyle Hotz is one name that comes to mind. Whose work like you can like see and spot, and you're like, oh yeah, that looks like Kyle Hotz. Um, so I mean, I'm a nerd, and I'm a youth leader at church. So like, I'm gonna say buy it, but I have a very specific use case and just affinity for things like this, for resources like this. So I'm biased. Um, but I mean, if you're a youth pastor or someone who just likes comics and the Bible, you're probably gonna like it. Um, I guess there are questions about like historical accuracy, specifically the fact that everyone in this book is white, though it takes place like in the Middle East and Northern Africa, you know. But other than that, it looks good. It's pretty biblically accurate. And yeah, that's the Kingstone Bible. Three books, beautifully bound hardcovers, sewn binding. They've held up well. I've had mine for going on 3 years now. I mean, they mostly sit on a shelf, so I guess they hold up well on a shelf. But I mean, I haven't had any issues with them like pulling away from the spine and stuff like that, because that happens. So anyway, very long re-review of the Kingstone Bible. I like them. Uh, should you pay the? I think there's like it was like $60 is what I paid for the whole set plus international shipping. If you feel like you're going to get use out of them, definitely. If it's just going to sit on a shelf so you can say you have the Bible in comic format, maybe spend $100 on something else that you're going to use more. But I think you'd like the purchase. Alfred says, I'll be signing limited covers of Blowtorch Bad Roads #1 at New York Comic Con booth 3825. Nice. So go see him. Andrew McLean is dope. Wrote and drew Headlopper. And I Stamp Jake Smith is up next. Picked up Into the Radness and Blood Force Trauma Blinded last year for the art. Definitely have to check out Godzilla. Oh, that's who did Godzilla War for Humanity. Got it. Nice. You excited for the new 6160? Is that the new Ultimate Universe? I'm ambivalent. Is that the word? I don't particularly care. I'm gonna grab Ultimate Spider-Man because it's Ultimate Spider-Man. I barely follow the 616. The idea of the Ultimate Universe is cool in that it feels like a fresh jumping in point. And so if they do it right, then, if they make it exciting enough, then sure. But as of right now, I haven't seen anything. And Ultimate Invasion is just too expensive for me to have it. I'm not paying $10 an issue for this book that's mostly world building. I'll check it out when it hits the Marvel Unlimited. But I am going to check out Ultimate Spider-Man, though. So the next book that I wanted to talk about real quick, Green Lantern War Journal, issue #1. I also reviewed this in the community tab. I've been waiting for a John Stewart book ever since they, Jeff Thorne's run ended, if you want to call it a run ending and not just like a story arc ending. But John Stewart, let's just say, had a new old status quo by the end of Jeff Thorne's run. And so I was wanting to know how they were going to handle that. Is John Stewart still going to be as powerful as they have made canon to say that he's powerful? And the short answer to that is yes. But I love this book. It's the Green Lantern Corps I guess you can call it, has been disbanded on Earth as we know it. Like, we know Hal is operating independently of the Corps. And John Stewart is as well, because the Green Lantern Corps is under the control of the United Planets, and they basically like expelled the Earth Lanterns, is how I read that situation. And so John Stewart has like been trying to return to civilian life. He's just taking care of his elderly mom and, trying to do stuff around the house, but he has a very hard time shaking the idea of like, being in action. So there's like points where he's got to pause or he'll do something and it reminds him of his time in the Corps. And just that alone, just those quiet moments, I really enjoyed about that issue, because I hadn't thought about like the PTSD is not the word to use, but like the idea that if you are used to war or conflict or just a very exciting job, when you're at home being a civilian, you're gonna be like bored, you're gonna miss it or whatever, but it's like not the best life for you after a certain point. So all that, and then the new conflict is like trying to draw him out of hiding, because something that he did when he was like the greatest Green Lantern in the world is coming back to bite him and a bunch of people that he loves. So it's going to be a great book. It's going to be a great book. It's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Art is by Montos. And honestly, man, Philip Kennedy Johnson, it feels like he cannot miss. That I have not read an issue of any book by him that I wasn't impressed by. So he's up there for me with people like Tom Taylor, who I will just buy because their name is on the book. So, really, really good stuff. Green Lantern War Journal. I want to say I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I liked it a lot. It was really good. Because you don't read much Marvel and understand the status quo, are you going to dive in deep in the Ultimate Universe? You don't have to worry about canon. That's an idea. Like, on one hand, the Ultimate Universe feels like, okay, cool, finally a jumping in point so I can dive deep. But I don't know. As of late, I've been sort of jaded by monthly comics in general and like the constant return to the same status quo. And, all right, here's this year's event. And now here's this winter's event. And then here's the spring event. And so it's like you want to get excited about stuff, but it's like, will the stuff you're excited about remain exciting? Or is it just to bait you until the next big thing? Right. Like, as much as I'm enjoying the dawn of DC, it's clearly building toward some kind of conflict with Amanda Waller, right? And has been for like a year. And, that might be fun. But after that conflict, what's the world going to look like? I don't know. And then with Marvel, it kind of feels the same way, even more so at times. So, yeah, that's the thing. And Josh says, sounds like you need more indies. It's funny. The next video that I was planning to release it tomorrow, but I haven't filmed it, so that's probably not going to happen. But it is, why don't you read more indies, or why haven't I read more indies? And the truth of the matter is, I typically just have a blind spot. A lot of what I read is superheroes because of the whole nostalgia factor. Like, I treat my comics like I treat Saturday morning cartoons. Like, all right, cool. Here's my stack. And I know Power Rangers is coming on at 8, X-Men's coming on at 8:30, Batman's coming on at 9, Superman's coming on at 9:30, whatever. I don't know the lineup. And then so it's like, cool, I got my dose of all these things from my childhood, and then going about regular life for another week. And some episodes are great, and other episodes are okay, and some episodes are just straight up boring. But it's like, hey, that's what it is. You don't have to think about it as much, because it's like, okay, Batman is Batman. So you're just watching TV for a little bit and then whatever. With indies, there's a few issues that I've had with indies in the past. One is, if it's a good indie series, it's brand new, it's a brand new idea, and you've got to learn the world, learn the characters, learn the conflict, and then care about the resolution, right? And sometimes it's difficult, to devote that much time. Like, what I like about a lot of superhero comics is Spider-Man is Spider-Man. They don't have to spend like a third of the comic telling you Spider-Man is. It's just like, okay, cool. Do I care about the villain of the week this week or not? So superhero comics are more accessible. The other part of that, funny enough, Comics Joe just mentioned it. Does your faith keep you from reading indie comics? Because most of them can get raunchy. Yes. A lot of creators use independent and creator-owned publishing to tell stories that would not work in big two superhero comics, because the audience can be younger, or because it could taint the 86-year legacy of Batman, however long Batman's been in existence, right? So you could have your black label Batman stories that get darker, but like regular Batman issue 86 is not going to be like, all of a sudden Catwoman's naked somewhere. But with a lot of indie books, that is something that like just happens. Like, people are just a lot more gratuitous in their indie books. And so Like right now, we're getting a lot of horror books, and I don't read horror books. Um, but then even the books that aren't horror books, like I just recently read, um, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips have a new graphic novel coming out. I want to say next month called Where the Body Was, and it's basically a murder mystery, a pretty cool murder mystery. But at the center of this murder mystery is an affair that one neighbor is having with another, and it just keeps popping up throughout the book. So it's just like, all right, like for as much as this mystery is like cool, do I want to like sacrifice or compromise on my morals by reading it? Nah, not interested in that. Would I, want to have that book in my house for like my kids to stumble across? No. I wouldn't even want to have it in my house for me to stumble across. So, yes, my faith does keep me at times from venturing out into indie comics, but let's be honest, I'm also just not scouring the previews catalog like I used to see what's coming and what's interesting, you know? So a lot of the time, where the body was, but a lot of the time, I just don't know that certain books are out until someone says, like in the comments of my pull list video, uh, hey, why didn't you read such and such? And it's like, oh, I wasn't even paying attention. I looked at League of Comic Geeks, but I didn't look at every single new book. I just kind of looked at what I was already subscribed to. Um, so yeah, so all of that, um, even stuff that I'm like vaguely familiar with, like Conan, you know, a lot of indie comics are just racy. And that's just not it's not where I'm at in life. So yeah. Um so yeah, long-winded answer to the short question. Just popped in down here in your neck of the woods in Raleigh for a wedding. Who's in Raleigh? I got to go back to the Facebook group. All right. Oh, what's up, John? That's what's up. That's what's up. I wish them well in their union. I compromised my morals for for the last Black Panther volume. That's funny. Everybody hates T'Challa. Great House says, ever read Usagi Yojimbo or Bone? Um, I've read some Usagi Yojimbo. Never read Bone. Indie comics like Madman, Nexus, JMS's The Resistance, Erratic, and Morse are raunch free books. Nice. Great House says Usagi and Bone are both high quality and kids can read them. Robert Harmon says, I really would like to find an upcoming first issue that will actually become a very long series, many years. Do you see anything in the near future? I don't I don't know if current comics are built for that. Like it's just not built for that. Most comics are like 12 issue series at the most, like the indie stuff that comes out. Although the massive verse is going strong, it's spun out into like a bunch of titles. Um, Department of Truth is still going strong, I think. I don't know. But overall, like audiences, it's I don't know. I don't know if it's because of audiences. I don't know if it's because of creators. I don't know if it's just like, writing for a Netflix pitch or what. But most of what I see hit stands does not last that long. Um, or it's like it'll be like a 6 issue miniseries, and then a year later, another 6 issue miniseries, and then a year after that, another 6 issue miniseries. But like big two superhero comics, they are going to, for the most part, reset every few years. Um, Maybe Al Ewing on the Immortal Thor. Issue 2 just came out this week. Maybe that runs long like the regular Immortal Hulk did. Let's see. What's your favorite Bible verse? I love John 4:13 and 15. Do I have a favorite Bible verse? I don't know if I have a favorite verse. My favorite story in the Bible is the story of Joseph. I don't think I have a favorite verse. Mm-mm. But that's mostly because when I read the Bible, I like to read like full context. Like I like to read a chapter at a time. Um, but yeah, this might be kind of a hard question to answer. But how do you make friends at school when you're not a social person? I am not the one to ask to ask that question. I'm sorry, dude. I've always been pretty introverted. Uh, when I was a kid, I was into music, not comics. And before I was into music, I was into like drawing. So like if you draw or when you draw, unless people think that you're like, a weirdo based on what you draw, a lot of times they'll come up to you because um, they're like, yo, what's that? And they're interested in your ability, right? So there's that. Um, but I don't know, man. Like, join a club, join some kind of like, school club, play a sport, do something where people are going to be, is my only advice. And that's if you want friends. You know, I got my wife, I got friends at church, and I got y'all. But yeah, if you want friends, hang out where people are. And in general, I would say hang out where people are that are doing things that you also enjoy. Don't just show up somewhere with people that don't have your best interests at heart or you don't have anything in common with. Just say that you're with people. That's the advice I'd give to my daughter. So that's the advice I'm giving to you. Great House says, hey, I'm insulted. Bangs on issue 18. My bad, dude. My bad. Did you read the new Jon Stewart War Journal yet? I heard it's fire. I brought it down to read on the road trip. It is great. It is absolutely great. I talked about it about 7 minutes ago. You rewind, I guess. But no, it's really good. Jon Stewart War Journal, #1, is dope. If you were worried that Jon Stewart was not in good hands just because Jeff Thorne was leaving, don't be worried. It's great. And yeah, it's really, really good. Tim says, I blame my girlfriend for getting me into Dark Horse Comics, but I also blame myself for getting her into comic books. Yeah, I don't. My wife is into TV. Like it could be a Netflix series. It could be. She mostly watches like British crime dramas on Netflix. Is if that's the genre, but she's always finding like some random mystery show on Netflix, and that's her thing. And my thing is comic books. And usually she's in bed watching her show, and I'm like in bed with my iPad. And that's it. I'll say this: I have a strong relationship with Jesus than I do with people outside the church. A stronger relationship with Jesus. Is that what you're saying? So what I would say with that is because like I said, I'm generally introverted. I enjoy YouTube because I can keep people at a safe distance, right? Like you can know what I want you to know about me. I'm not going to say anything on camera, but I don't want you to know, right? When you live life with people, it's different. Like you have to you got to be vulnerable sometimes, especially in regards to like sharing your faith and building each other's faith. Like my wife and I, we lead a home group, which is part of the reason the Hangout had to move to a monthly format because we're like busy every other week. Like But anyway, and what happens is like church stops being like just Sunday morning or like Wednesday nights or whatever, and it also becomes like, hey, my kid's got a soccer game. Can you come to the soccer game? And oh, let's do dinner or whatever, whatever. And the more you live with people and get to know them and develop relationships and bonds, like they're there for you, So the best friendships I have are friendships that I've made like within my church. Um, some of the more fun conversations I have are with you guys, but like some of the best life relationships I have are with people from church, whether they're, people who are leaders like over me or people that I lead or just people that are friends, whatever. So people, I don't know, man. I think part of it is you gotta be willing to like be vulnerable. I think a lot of people, like I'm introverted, but I think a lot of people also use being introverted as just like an excuse because it's really that they're afraid to get to know people or let people get to know them. You gotta let go of that um, to experience the real value that comes from friendships, if that makes sense. This is completely not comics related anymore, but you asked. So yeah, so I would challenge you, like just if there's somebody that you see on a regular basis and you're interested in like stuff they do, take them out to lunch, pick their brain about whatever that thing is that you're interested in. Oh, I know you were into comics. I'm into comics too. Let's go to this thing together. Whatever. I guess you would kind of treat it like dating, except with way less pressure because you're not going to ask this random person to marry you at any point. Are we getting to season 2 of the Milestone books? Just finished all the season 1 hardcovers and they said it'll be back in 2022. What happened? So, yes, we are currently in Milestone season 2. They didn't call it that, so you might have missed out on it, right? But right now, this week, Static Shadows of Dakota issue number 6 just came out. That's the 6th issue in what is basically season 2 of Static. And it's amazing. We're going to talk about it in a second. But then we also have Icon versus Hardware. That's firmly planted in season 2. And that's actually it. Does Blood Syndicate? I think Blood Syndicate might count as season 2. Yeah, Icon versus Hardware is definitely season 2. But I think it's just Icon versus Hardware and Static. I think Blood Syndicate counts as season 1. Let me look. Hold on. Yeah, Blood Syndicate says season 1 on the hardcover. So it was season 1. It was last year. Man. Yeah, so we're in season 2. Static Shadows of Dakota. That's a great segue. Let's do it then. So I just read this earlier this morning, yesterday, today. Definitely today. So Static Shadows of Dakota, issue number 6, came out this week. It is co-written by Vita Ayala and Nicholas Draper Ivy. And Nicholas Draper Ivy does all the art, including the colors. Great book. I don't want to spoil it, considering somebody just said they didn't even know there was a season 2 out. But this whole season of Static has been Virgil, Static, versus Ebon, basically. So Ebon from the animated series, the dude that talks like a what's up, Playboy, like whatever, right? That dude, the shadowy dude, hence the name. Basically, there is like a vigilante group hunting down bang babies for purposes that we don't know yet. And I don't think we're gonna find out until issue 7, which is the finale. Static's affected and Ebon is affected by this vigilante group. And of course, they have differing opinions on how they should handle said vigilante group. This series, like, if you read Static, the core of Virgil Hawkins as a character is a kid who is a nerd, who got powers, who constantly has to decide to use those powers for good. And he's constantly put in situations where it's like the temptation is to just use the powers for his personal gain, to end whatever personal struggle he's got, or to just, take his anger out on somebody. Right. And, at the end of the day, Static Virgil is always going to choose to do good. And this series is an example of that. And this series, but what I like about this is it gives Eban a very compelling reason for being who he is, while also giving us a very compelling reason for Virgil being who he is. And this issue did a great job of kind of just splitting down the middle and saying, Virgil, you had this, Ivan, you had that, y'all's paths diverged because of whatever, and it's apparent now more than ever. This issue is the emotional climax of this miniseries, and it was amazing. Definitely my favorite book that I've read in the last couple of weeks. And yeah, man, really, really good. Wheelchair says, peace out. Have a good one, man. Peace, man. Good seeing you. Thank you for being here. Bunk says, hey, you look just like this guy I used to watch live on YouTube every Thursday evening. Yeah, I was just telling the squad that I had to stop streaming every Thursday because we're like leading a home group for our church. So it's like every Wednesday is crazy busy. And then my daughter's in the church play, and she's got rehearsal some Thursdays she doesn't. But then my wife is on the worship team, and she's got rehearsal most Thursdays. So Thursday is just no longer a great day to stream, but there's not another day of the week that's good for it either. So we just stream when we can stream. Still waiting for Blood Syndicate season 2. Word. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with that. If I'm honest, man, this whole Milestone season 2, if it wasn't for Static Shadows of Dakota, I don't know. I don't know. Because Icon versus Hardware, so far, to me, is not it. And it feels like they're trying to incorporate the DC universe way too soon, and in ways that don't feel like they make sense right now. Maybe they'll stick the landing, but I don't know. But this series, though, this series right here, Shadows of Dakota, 10 out of 10. It's great. The only knock against this series is that sometimes the art looks rushed, but it's great when it counts, or it's great. Yeah, it's great when it needs to be great. But the actual story, the characterization, the stakes, how Eban is treated all throughout, this series is it. When this series comes to hardcover, that's like a day one pre-order. This one will be a steal at $29.99 for the 7 issues that are collected and the Static Anansi team up. So 8 issues, standard size hardcover. I believe the price on it is going to be $29. I'm coming to the limit on Chrome tabs that are allowed to be open right now. My computer is like, what are you doing? I should start streaming in Firefox. What was I doing? Shadows of Dakota. So let's look and see when this is coming out. Shadows of Dakota, yeah, $29.99, February 6th. I wouldn't be surprised if they bumped that up $10. Yeah, I would, because $39.99 would be too expensive. But hey, let's definitely collect Static season 2, 1 through 7, because the series was extended to be 7 issues, and the Static Anansi team up. So there we go. Did I hear a perfect 10 for the first time? That might have been hyperbole, but My point is, I really enjoy this series. It can't be a perfect 10 because the art feels rushed at points. So at the best, it can be a 9 out of 10. But it's been really, really good. The story itself, to me, is 10 out of 10. I'll save my actual rating for the ending of it. I don't play video games very often at all. I've not played Mortal Kombat 1. Talking about our favorite comics on our poll, yes, because that is the topic for the evening. So let's do that. Gotta hold down for Skip and Go, Ice Cream Man, and Swan Songs, also by W. Maxwell Prince. I have not gotten a chance to try out Swan Songs. I did read the majority of Ice Cream Man, whatever was in the Sunday edition. I think it was like the first 15 issues or so. And it's a heavy book, but it's a great book. It's a great book. Is it canceled at number 7? Because that would be odd. No. So trying to remember what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not. Let's just say the series was expanded to become 7 issues. It was originally slated to be 6. The story could have easily been told over like 8 to 10 issues, but it was condensed a bit. That's what I can say. So it's not canceled. It was always meant to be 6 issues. They extended it to 7, and that's that. Sunday edition is 1 through 12. Got it. Do you like Wesley Snipes' Blade? I saw that movie one time, and I was like, I saw it at my uncle's or my grandmother's house in New York. So I could have been like no more than 12. I don't remember much about that movie, except that Wesley Snipes looked really, really cool. How do you know things? I don't know. I can't reveal sources. But yeah. Ice Cream Man is an anthology series, so it moves around a lot. But there are some issues in this stuff after Sunday edition 1 that deal with the subject of fatherhood, and those hit really hard. Word. Blade is not a Kicks movie. From what I remember about Blade, it's definitely not a Kicks movie. Can't wait for the Static Up All Night graphic novel. That is out in a couple of weeks, right? It's gotta be soon. Static Up All Night. Let's look. November 7th. Got a little bit over a month. But yeah, Chillmonger, between you and I, somebody very close to the series told me things. All right. I did not. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So the subject for the evening. What are your must-read books on your pull list? So I told you guys last time I did this that I wanted to do a list of like the best ongoing books, like since I started reading comics. And I was surprised at how short the list felt when I started writing stuff out. But I still want to talk about like what standouts are. Like, what are the books that you're like, I gotta read this as soon as it comes out. So I guess I'll start. So right now, my list is Shadows of Dakota. Like, that's a book that I'll buy twice. Like, I'll buy it digitally if I can't get to the shop anytime soon. Um, if I was not waiting on Firepower, that definitely makes the list. It's only the publishing schedule that knocked Firepower out of my reading rotation because I forgot what happened in previous issues. Now I want to just wait. But yeah, no, Firepower was really, really good. Like I really enjoy Firepower. Uh, Josh Williamson's Superman, I'm kind of up and down on, especially now that Jamal Campbell's not on art for this next story arc. But I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. So that's there. Philip Kennedy Johnson's Action Comics, especially since the end of the War World saga, like since the Dawn of DC or whatever started, since issue 1050, must see TV. A great comic. And Rafa Sandoval on Action Comics, that is some of the best comic book art, period. It's just really, really good. I would even put Action Comics ahead of Batman in some instances, especially since Mike Hawthorne has been doing Batman as of late. But since it's the Gotham War, Jorge Jimenez is back on Batman. Issue 137, was that the last one I read? That was really, really good. The art was really, really good. There was one instance of hilarious dialogue. Was that in Batman or was that in the Gotham War Prelude? And Batman's like, my parents were rich. That was just funny. But yeah, man, enjoyed it a lot. So Batman's back up there, of course. I always read Batman. Detective Comics is honestly not very high on my reading pile. I just referred to the Bucks with Dame as must-see TV. Not a phrase you hear much anymore. It's true. You know what's hilarious? I thought about this earlier today. I was just scrolling on YouTube and saw a video that said Damian Lillard is a Buck. And then I was just like, dang, should Milwaukee rename their team? Because that's a wild statement to use, right? Like, we gotta I don't know. Obviously, a buck is a deer. Should they just be called the Milwaukee Deers? Because that's just wild to just call a group of black men bucks. I don't know. It was a real thought that I had. So you just brought it up. So there we go. Last series that was an absolute must read was Do a Power Bomb. Absolutely. No, that's a fact. I was buying Do a Power Bomb digitally, and I was like, yo, I gotta read this at midnight. I gotta read this at 12:05. Really loved it. What else is must read on my pull list? I guess the best way for us to do this is to pull up Comic Geeks so I can see what's on the pull list and just go through it. That's why Kareem left. Is that serious? Are you serious? That's hilarious. Good night, Tim. All right, I'm gonna head out. Yo, good night, dude. Thanks for stopping by. Funny enough, this one right here, Disney Villains Maleficent, every time it comes out, I'm like, yo, this book is awesome. It is really good every time. Does it need 20 variant covers every time it comes out? Not at all. And it's not even anything special happening. It's just every issue, somebody tries to confront Maleficent, and Maleficent shows them why she's Maleficent. And that's it. That is it. But it's fun. It's entertaining. And Sue Lee's art is it's great. It is great. That woman does wonders with a brush. And it's not even a heavy dialogue book. It's basically an art book. Issue 5 was out this week. And did I put it on my list? I don't think I put it on my list. I don't think I even talked about Maleficent. I'm certain that's at the comic shop waiting for me, though. I didn't read Monarch number 6. That was good. Cyborg is pretty good. I don't know if it's must read, but it's pretty good. Negaduck number 1 came out 2 weeks ago. I'll tell you what, that Darkwing Duck book is amazing. And Superman Lost, Quiet as Kept, has been a really good book. We w- I don't want to spoil it. Superman was lost at space for like the equivalent of like 30 Earth years in his head, but it was like 30 minutes in the real world. And so he's got like PTSD, and a bunch of random stuff is like reminding him of his time in space. And we found out in issue 5 that he basically had like a new uh love interest. And yeah, yeah, that was that. So really good stuff. It's Priest, so Priest's writing can be a little bit confusing, or it's non-linear storytelling, so it can take a while. Like you just stick with it. And he'll throw out a plot point and then hit you in the face with it 5 issues later when you forgot about it. Meanwhile, you're like, is anything happening in this book? So that's that. Black Panther's not quite must read for me. It's just that I like Black Panther as a character, so it stays at the top. Shazam's pretty good. Shazam is pretty entertaining. Yeah, there's not a lot that's like, I gotta read this immediately every time it comes out. I'm sticking with all the Dawn of X stuff because, I'm so heavily invested in it. But if I'm honest, most of it's not must read. X-Men's pretty good, X-Force is pretty good, and everything else has its moments. Like it has its really good issues. Miles Morales was really good until the Carnage event, and now it's just like, what's happening? According to your September most anticipated graphic novels, people aren't telling you enough. But Gotham City Year One has been excellent and makes its way to the top of the pile every time. Gotham City Year One is over though. But I heard the same thing. I did hear that Gotham City Year One was really good. I didn't hear it from anybody that I know personally, except you. But like a lot of the YouTube channels that I watch gave high praise to Gotham City Year One. That's why it even ended up on that list. Let's view this by month. How about we do that? Browse by month. All right. So the Avengers is about to fall off my pull list. I can't even lie. I dropped Ninja Turtles already. Yeah, there's not a ton on the pull list, if I'm honest with you. So maybe this is the time. I didn't continue reading Hawk Girl. A lot of the stuff that I've really been reading a lot of is the Disney stuff. Darkwing, Maleficent, Scar, Hades was really good. Issue 1. I didn't read issue 2 yet. And like every now and then there's like an indie series. And I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. Let's browse by previews catalog month. Let's not do previews catalog month because that's not. I guess I gotta do it by week, and I can't do it by month on these. That's interesting. I wonder why they do it that way. Maybe just too many books. Yeah, it's time for me to find new books to read. I dropped Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because I didn't want to do another year-long event. Because, what was it? Ninja Turtles. I collected like 29 issues of and wasn't reading them. So I was like, let me not fall into that trap again. There's honestly not a ton that makes me feel like I gotta get out to the shop. A lot of this stuff, I'm like, oh, I'll see how that goes in trade. They're going to do another Planet of the Apes series. All right, cool. I'll see what that's looking like. But there's not a lot in here that makes me like, I got to go to the comic shop. You know why I go to the comic shop? For the clerks. And maybe that's an issue. But again, that's just kind of where I am as a reader. Like, I'm not taking chances on some of these indie titles because they can be so racy. And the superhero stuff is kind of just okay in most cases, with a few standouts. Like that Jean Grey issue from a couple weeks ago. Really, really good. Oh, a month ago. Really, really good. Like, it's Louise Simonson, and I assumed it was just going to be some story from yesteryear, but it was just a really good characterization. I liked it a lot. As Dawn of DC continues, I'll probably like want to read more of it. Like, I'm not done with Wonder Woman yet. I'm very intrigued by the story that's being told. And oh no, so Blaine, what you're looking at right now is not my pull list. This is just every comic coming out in certain weeks. But yeah, Dawn of DC stuff has been interesting, and most of that I'm like, okay, I'm interested in that. The Jon Stewart's a must read for me. Superman, or at least Action Comics, is must read. Superman's very close. Batman is still must read. Like, I'm always gonna read Batman, but that's just because I like Batman, not necessarily because the book is just so amazing. Although the Gotham War has intrigued me. Like, I'm excited about the Gotham War. What is the Schlub? That looks interesting. Mike Spicer on colors. Ryan Stegman writing it. Okay. That looks interesting. I don't know what this is about. New action comedy series. Failing dentist Roger Dalton blames the world for his problems till he's body swapped with the world's greatest superhero. Can he save Earth and finally prove to his family he's not a loser? Or are we all doomed? Okay, that just sounds funny. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun book. So it's stuff like this that I need to do more often, because that book came out a month ago. But yes, to Funk's point, next week we are getting the debut of Daniel Warren Johnson on Transformers. And Daniel Warren Johnson is another one of those guys who, after 2-3 series I've read by him, I'm like, hey, whatever that man is writing and drawing, I am buying. So Transformers, I'm definitely grabbing that. How many books do you have on pull then? That's a good question. I think there's a thing in here where we can find that out. Pull list stats. This says 111 active subscriptions. That sounds very high. That's not 111 books right there. But in the month of October, got several issues. Can I export this? Oh, this is current series. Yeah. Export pulls. All right, we're about to find out how many series I got on the pull list. Let's open up Microsoft Excel. All right. Final sell. 93. Oh, that's doing it straight up by issues. So next month I am buying 93 total issues, but I didn't nest them by series and issue numbers. So books that double ship and so on are counted twice. I'd give it somewhere around 70 books that I buy on a monthly basis. DWJ is on the rise. Kevin says it can't stay long, but he picked up Thor, didn't read issue 2, but 1 was really interesting. Word. So Blaine, you pull maybe 10 or 12 books total, or like per week? Because I probably pull about 10 a week max, because that would put me over my $50 budget if I bought like 15 a week at $4 a piece. That'd be $60. So yeah, if we call it 50 at $4 a piece, what is that? Suddenly I can't do math anymore. 45 books a month? I don't know. But yeah, man. But what are there any books that you guys like just anticipate every single month? Have you read Miss Marvel New Mutant? No. What did I read? I read the Amazing Spider-Man issue that she showed up in. What issue was that? Was it an annual or some kind of random one shot? However it happened, there's an issue of Spider-Man that takes place after Miss Marvel is resurrected. And I can't remember if it was an issue of Spider-Man or an issue of some other book. But America or not America, what is her name? What is Miss Marvel's name? Kamala Khan and Peter Parker have a conversation. And she's just like, yeah, I'm an X-Men, right? Like, haha, I'm an X-Men. And I enjoyed that characterization of her. I enjoyed that depiction of her. But not enough to pick up a whole mini-series featuring her. I probably should have grabbed issue 1. I'll keep thinking on what's top of pile for me, but how's your Kicks Fit Club journey going? Dog, I fall off that boat so often. I don't know if I even shared this, but we had a death in the family a couple weeks ago. Actually, one of our really close friends from church, ironically. We were having that conversation. And the last 2 weeks has just been like 3 weeks leading up to the celebration of life service we did Saturday. A complete blur. Didn't eat much, so I didn't gain any weight, but I also didn't really lose any. I'm still sitting right at about 198, which is a good weight. I typically fluctuate from like 200 to like 210. So 198 is a good weight, but optimal shape for me would be somewhere around like 175, 180. So I got some work to do, but I'm not fat. So that's good. I've not set foot in the gym though. And if I'm honest, I don't know when I'm going to, because our schedule is insane. Your wife doing okay? Prayers still going out to your wife's friends, family. Yeah. We're all doing as okay as we can be. They serve together at church. So like we're like planning a church conference. So it's like there's a lot of things happening right now that can be triggering if you allow them to like trigger negative emotions. And grief just works that way. Like you just kind of, I make this comment box thing purple purposefully in honor of our homie Skip, right? Sometimes I see the purple and I'm like, that's dope, man. I miss Skip. And other times I see the purple and I'm like, yo, man, Skip's really gone. And that sucks, right? So it's like, it's grief is grief. But I appreciate the prayers, man. We're doing well. We're doing fine. But yeah, not set foot in the gym. Don't know when I'm going to. There's a gym that I have to pass on the way home from my daughter's school, but her school starts at such an odd time that if I go to the gym after I take her to school, I am absolutely missing work meetings because I'm in the gym. So I got to figure out like when a good time to go would be. Saw your Batman Adventures Omnibus video. Order my copy from OPB. Can't wait to read that book. Yeah, man. It was one of my most anticipated books of the year. I still do not have Uncanny X-Men Volume 5, and my goal had been to collect all of Chris Claremont's run on X-Men. I am absolutely risking missing out on Volume 5 of Uncanny X-Men. And the Batman Adventures Omnibus was more expensive than that book is. And I had to do it. I had to get the Batman Adventures. I could not risk not getting that book. Speaking of Batman, I was out at the pharmacy doing adult things, getting medicine for my kids today. And while I was waiting for them to fill the prescription, I walked around and found the collectibles aisle where they had a couple of things on clearance. And here they are. I got Batman with oxygen mask from the 1966 animated series or live action TV show, and Robin with oxygen mask Both were on clearance from McFarlane Toys for $5.99 each. I couldn't pass them up for $6 a piece. I see why people don't want them because they have oxygen masks on their face. But I don't know. Whenever I see Batman 66, it just reminds me to have fun in life and like to be absurd and silly. So it brings me joy to look at these. I haven't decided if I'm going to take them out of the box or not. I'm definitely going to take them out of the box because it's not like I'm going to resell them. Chillmonger says, just Black Panther that he anticipates is a must read for my channel. Hope to get you on one of my panels. When do you do panels? You said in 2 weekends. 2 weekends from now would be 7th, 14th. If it's the 21st, it's going to be a definite no. I'm busy that night. The 14th, Fridays are family movie night. But if it's on that Saturday, the 14th, let me find my calendar right now so I can at least tell you if it's a possibility. Because I never want to lead people on. All right. Looking at the calendar. Where are we at? 21st. I don't see anything on that evening. Oh, wait, no, my bad. Not 21st. There is something on that evening. 14th. I don't see anything on that evening. So we might be a go. Chillmonger. Might be a go. If nothing else, I can pre-record my thoughts and send them to you. I'm trying to do better at like showing up for other people on the internet. Nightwing and now The Flash are must-reads. Nightwing, I enjoy Nightwing. Some of it just feels like novelty to me. And it's good, but like it feels like the story isn't necessarily going anywhere when I read it. But every time I read it, I enjoy it. It's like it's never in danger of being dropped from the pull list, but I'm never like, ooh, what's going to happen now? You know? I tend to like get excited about Nightwing when I hear about whatever the new gimmick is. Like, oh, this one's going to be from first person view, or this one's going to be every image is from the same page or something. Whatever, I don't know. My most must get is only Nightwing, Moon Knight, and maybe Superman because I love it and might move up to must get level. Yeah, I've been enjoying Superman a lot. I dropped Moon Knight, and that was probably a mistake. People still talk about Jed McKay's Moon Knight like it is the most amazing book that has ever existed. And that makes me think like, dang, maybe I shouldn't have dropped it. In the moment, it didn't feel like I really needed it. I think I read it through issue 3 and was like, this is cool, but I don't need to buy it monthly. But ever since then, people have been like loving it. Speaking of Jed McKay, his Avengers is not doing it for me. I find that I don't particularly care about the characters. And the whole reason I bought the book is because I wanted to care about the characters that are going to show up more. So, I don't know. We'll let this story arc end and then we'll see. We'll see. So, yeah, man. Somebody recommended Bone and Usagi Yojimbo. If you have other like family-friendly indies that you want to recommend, you know, hit me up. Let me know. I'm on Instagram. I'm in the Discord. I'm everywhere, baby. Uptown, downtown, the Bronx, Switzerland. You know. But Firepower is really good. Oh, this was such an easier way to look at this. I'm tripping. Action Comics, really good. Batman, good for now. Black Panther, good for now. Darkwing, really good. But that's nostalgia talking for me. Firepower is great. I have not read The Flash yet. Green Arrow I dropped. Let me go ahead and remove that. Icon vs. Hardware. Wait for the trade. The Fall of X stuff, Immortal X-Men, X-Force, X-Men, X-Men Red, all of it is fine. They have great moments. They're not necessarily on must-read status for me. Miles Morales had been. I fell behind. Nightwing is good. Shazam is great. The art is great. The story's fine. Shadows of Dakota is must read, but it's already on after 6 issues, so wait for the trade if you didn't have it already. It'll be out in February. Superman's really, really good. Superman Lost is also really, really good, but it's only going to be 10, 12 issues. Keep me honest. Is it 10 issues? I don't know. But anyway, good stuff. Yeah, and all the rest of that is X-Men stuff. So what was that, like 6 books that are must-read status for me? Steady Rolling by Fred Nolan, graphic novel. It's really good. Word. I was expecting more from Chip Zdarsky, but what a great Daredevil run he had. Have you read Solid Ahmed's new run? No, I dropped out on Daredevil. Daredevil seems to build way too much on itself. And like it's best to just read in like trades or omnibus or whatever. But from what I have read of Daredevil, I'm like, I read Batman. I don't necessarily need another character like this. Is how I have felt. And maybe somebody is going to like prove me wrong. You know, Bunkmaster B gave me a trade a while back. Happy birthday to your wife, by the way, Bunk. I forgot. You did say that and I didn't acknowledge it. But so yeah, if you're still here, happy birthday, Mrs. Master B. And yeah, but Bunk gave me a Daredevil, is it Born Again? Trade paperback. So I should read that and decide if I like Daredevil. I did read some of Mark Waid's run. Not Mark Waid. Charles Soule. The 10 Fingers story arc. Not 10 Fingers. Is it 10 Fingers? I think it is 10 Fingers. I'm getting him confused with the Man with 10 Eyes from Batman, which is, again, another issue that I have is like stuff overlaps. But I enjoyed it. It was cool. But anyway, all right, guys. I think we're done for the evening. I really, really appreciate you guys dropping by for another monthly episode of the Hangout. Before we dip, though, got to give a huge shout out to everyone that makes this possible, namely the channel family. So if you see, I got to update this graphic. Some of these names have changed, but if you see anybody with the badges in the chat, some of these people have been here as long as a year with the Batman next to their names. So thank you guys for supporting the channel with your dollars. It allows me to pull comics and occasionally review omnibus and stuff like that. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thanks to Organic Price Books for being a great channel sponsor. Use the code BJKicks at checkout to save some money. Every time you use that code, just so you know, I earn a commission of, I think, 2%, which for most books will get me like $1.50 or something like that. And I wait for those points to add up. And that is how I buy omnis, which is why sometimes there's a lot of omnis. Most times there's an omni. And I am totally fine with that. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Thanks to Organic Price Books for making that even an option. And I will see you guys in another stream in a month or so. Let's call it a month. The 26th. Save the date. I did give you Born Again, and my wife appreciates the birthday wishes. Also, Mrs. Master B sounds very dirty. Hey, listen, man, she can't be dirty on her birthday, right? Anyway, I will see you guys on another stream real soon. Peace.